What is flow state and how does it affect your creative process? Well, in this video, I'm going to answer just that. Hey, I'm Rees. I'm a creative director with over 25 years of experience working with organizations of all kinds and sizes and leading creative teams. And on this channel, I explore ways for us to step into our full creative selves so that we can experience the exhilarating freedom that comes with creating our own art on our own terms. Now, you've heard of flow state, but maybe you don't know exactly what it is, if it's real, or if it really allows you to perform better while doing something, and you may not know if you've ever even experienced it. Well, coming up, I am going to dive into flow state, share with you what factors determine whether you're in flow state, and then talk about how you can leverage those factors to make your creative process easier. At the end, I will give you my personal go-to tips for finding flow state faster. A few years ago, I took a video production class at our local university, and I was about 20 years older than every other student there. Two things in this course were really difficult for me, and the first one was not mothering all the other students, and the second one was actually shooting film. We would have to do something really simple like a rack focus, and I would have to do like 20 takes to get it to even look halfway decent. So this class was really hard for me and really difficult. And then it came the part where we had to edit all the video that we had shot. And so I went into the editing suite that they had set up for us at the university, and I sat down and I was really kind of gearing up for this horrible experience where, it was going to take me forever, just like actually shooting film had. But what I actually found was that when I sat down to edit, editing felt a lot like writing to me, which is what is my primary skill set, so copywriting. And it was kind of like taking a bunch of disparate data and putting it together in a way that made sense and told a good story and really pulled the person watching or reading into the story. And so I was able to get the editing done in a really fun and fast way. And like 20 minutes later, I was like, awesome, that was easy. I love doing that. And then I looked at the clock, and it actually 3.5 hours had gone by. It was dark outside and nobody else was in the editing room. That is a perfect example of being in flow state. Now, the term flow was coined by Dr. C. He is a psychologist who spent decades studying the positive aspects of human experience. He studied when people were at their most engaged and their most content, and what he found was that they had 7 conditions in common. These are the same types of things that I experienced when I was in that editing suite. So the first is that people are completely focused and involved in what they are doing. The second is that they feel outside everyday reality and almost have a sense of like pure joy or ecstasy. The third is that they have intense inner clarity. They feel inspired, they know exactly what to do and how well they're doing at it. The fourth one is that they feel competent and capable of doing the task at hand. They're not thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do this. They're just digging in and doing the thing. Number 5, they are so absorbed that outside worries and anxieties fall away. Number 6, people get so focused on the present that time moves differently. It feels like only minutes have passed when in reality it has probably been a lot longer. In my case, it felt like 20 minutes and it was 3.5 hours. And the last factor is that whatever you're doing that gets you in flow, it is its own reward. So being in flow state is the reward that you get. So sometimes you're probably going to get a good creative product out of it, but you enjoy it for its own sake and not just because of the output. Now, Dr. C also found that flow occurs in an optimal balance of challenge and skill. He demonstrated it like this. So on the y-axis of our chart, you have challenge starting from 0, not challenging at all, and increasing in challenge and difficulty into infinity. And on the x-axis, we plot skill in the same way. So we start at 0 level of skill and we keep going, getting more and more skilled, to infinity. Now in the middle is the channel of flow. If I am doing something where the challenge matches my level of skill, I'll be in flow. However, if my skill isn't up to the challenge, I will feel anxious or like I get kind of icky. It's too hard for me. Or if I'm too skilled for the challenge, I will get bored and I will wonder why I'm even doing that thing. Now, for example, if I'm just learning to draw and I try drawing something that is relatively simple, like stick figures at a party, that might put me in flow because my skill is equal to the level of challenge. However, with that same level of skill, if I decided to draw a really realistic portrait of a whole bunch of people at a party, then that would make me feel anxious and icky because the challenge level is too high for my level of current skill. Conversely, if my skill continues to increase, but I keep drawing the same stick figures at this party, then I'm going to get bored and I'm going to give up on that because it's not going to keep me engaged. Now, one cool thing about the flow channel is when I stick with something and stay in flow, I get more and more skilled and I'm motivated to keep going because flow feels good. So as my skill increases, I want to increase that level of challenge to stay in that flow zone. Now, theoretically, you can find flow in any activity at all, but I think it is particularly useful for us as creatives because that's what we are doing every day for our actual work and hopefully for our pleasure as well. Have you ever put off some creative work that you had to do? Have you ever made yourself sit down and do some creative work that felt like a total slog? Maybe you have stared in agony at a blank screen or a blank piece of paper or a blank canvas because you just couldn't come up with any good ideas. Learning to work in flow state is going to make all of those obstacles to your creative process much easier to navigate. Because when you're in flow, you will be a lot more motivated to actually do the work. You're happy doing the work. Your creative blocks are going to feel like they are dissipating. They're going to feel like you can overcome them a lot more easily. And you're going to feel more satisfied during the actual work part of the work. And you will feel like the work was worthwhile. To apply flow state to your creative process, try these two things. First, make sure that you are starting with the right balance of challenge and skill. So if you're newer in your career, maybe this might mean finding something that is less challenging to do while you work on your skill. If you are further in your career, this might mean you figuring out a way to add more challenge to the work that you're doing so that you can stay engaged and interested in it and keep yourself from getting bored. The second thing is to make your mind a fertile ground for flow. So anything that's on your mind, anything that is prohibiting you from concentrating, it needs to go. That means that you work on releasing worry and anxiety and practice focus and concentration. Connect with the joy of creating itself. Now, I talk more about this in my video, How to Enter Flow State, my top 5 tips for artists and creatives. So I will link that below. And I have personally found that when I keep my mind a fertile ground for flow to exist, I not only do better work that I want to do, actually it gives me more energy and motivation to do the work that I have to do. The work that I create for clients that I actually make a living at. There are a lot of tools that you can use to achieve this fertility of mind for flow state, and I practice a lot of them every single day, but my 3 go-tos are first, yoga. That's my favorite way to clear my mind because not only is it meditative, but it also is exercise. Dr. C regards yoga as one of the oldest and most systematic methods of practicing the flow experience. So even though you're not actually doing creative work while you're doing yoga, you're still in a flow state, which makes it easier to put yourself in a flow state for other artistic work. The second thing is to connect with nature. Taking a walk in the woods, watching birds at your bird feeder. I like to sort out my shell collection. You could pet your dog or cat in a really mindful and intentional way. There are a lot of ways to connect with nature, and it has a very, very calming effect. The third is meditation. Now, there are infinite ways to meditate, and they all help you get better at focusing your attention. If you don't know where to start, I have a video for you. It's how to enter a flow state of mind using mindfulness meditation, which I will link below as well. Thank you for watching, and remember that learning by watching is awesome, but learning through action is key. To help you build the habit of creating on a regular basis and building skill little by little continuously, I run regular creative challenges in my community, Full Soul. So you can sign up to learn more and get notified of the next challenge at live.fullsoulcreativity.com/challenge, which is linked below. See you soon.